So we're doing well. You know, we're not doing well enough. I had to go back to work full time. Our pizza doesn't come out perfect. People will let us know. But you can go to a chain restaurant and they will mess up your food and they will not do it right and people will still go back. So many mistakes I made. And I thought I was smart, right? Like I thought I've done this before. I ran, 200 pharmacies. I got this, right? Just do it, right? Because you can always, like, people make mistakes, but fail forward.
Hello, welcome. Good Hustle, The Good Hustle, episode 35.
35.
Dude, we're on a roll.
I know.
We had a little bit of a couple breaks here and there because of maybe a seizure or two, or just one actually, but there's been some medical things and some life on life's terms. So we apologize for viewers that expecting us every Monday. Adam Yo, sorry. Bill Brennan, sorry. Actually, not sorry for Bill. Bill's an idiot.
Yeah, not sorry for Bill.
No, not at all. But this is actually going to be a really great episode. I got to meet our guest through Bill Brennan and her husband, DJ, and through some weird circumstances. And your husband actually has been really, really helpful to me as well, especially with some medical stuff that I'm going through, as just somebody I can talk to, not as a doctor, not as a professional, nothing like that, but just as a person that knows a thing or two about a thing or two that you know a thing or two about as well. But how helpful you guys have been for me on a personal level has been really big for me. And it's actually made some big changes in my life over the last 4 weeks. And that's all because of a connection through a connection. And that's what this show's all about.
Yeah.
It really is. It's about us helping each other out. And originally, we wanted to bring, obviously, our guest on here. But what do we do again?
Yeah, so if you didn't
forget.
already know, John and I are realtors right here in Central Pennsylvania with Keller Williams. So if you're looking to buy or sell or invest in any property, John and I would love to help you with that.
Yep. And today we have Stacey Fox. So
Stacey.
welcome.
Good afternoon.
Yep. So we have Stacey. Stacey owns the Santucci's, which is on Simpson Ferry Road.
Correct.
It's the Wendy's. You guys have all known where this Wendy's is, across from Windsor Plaza. And the whole point of this was like, we're going to bring her on and talk about Santucci's because that's all I want to talk about. And the more I've gotten to know Stacey, there's a lot more that goes behind this story than just a pizza shop. A story about small business in America and things like that. So, Zach, do you want to start off with some simple questions and just kind of we'll dive into some other stuff?
Yeah. I guess the starting point is I had heard from John that you grew up in Scranton, right?
Yes.
So can you take us back a little bit to
Scranton,
to your origin story, I guess, back in Scranton?
Yeah, so born and raised Scranton, PA. Everyone says we're like cockroaches. We're everywhere, right? Like you can find Scranton
You do hear it a lot.
people everywhere. Grew up in Scranton, so I'm actually from there. Went to public school my whole life. Graduated from Scranton High School, 1998. I'm aging myself.
98, baby. Represent. I think I'm older, though, by a couple months, right?
Yeah, I'm May.
Yeah, I'm February.
And then
So that was before The Office, just so we're clear.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
yes,
Before.
yes.
That's the only thing I know about
watched The
Scranton.
Office, by the way.
Great show.
From
Great show.
Scranton, you
I
haven't
know,
watched it.
never watched
Yeah.
The Office.
That's kinda messed up.
Yeah, you
I
need
know.
to.
I feel like I need to now.
Yeah.
But yeah, like growing up in Scranton was amazing. Loved it. Thought I had the best childhood in the whole world. Like growing up there, I didn't know there was anything else but Scranton, PA. It was like awesome. Parents were blue collar, right? One of the things that my parents instilled in me is they wanted to make sure that I was able to provide for myself when I got older, right? My dad was a welder, just barely graduated high school, ended up going to, just continuing to just do more for the family.
Yeah.
He was my inspiration for a lot of this. He ended up becoming vice president of a local Kingston metal company and then opened his own metal manufacturing business, Albright Pfeiffer Incorporated, which is still around today in Scranton. And just as a child watching him and everything he did, I remember painting the wall when I was 16. It was a punishment, by the way. I didn't do it.
I've had those.
Not the best decision I made when I was 16. So part of my punishment was painting like a blue stripe on the wall. And like I still remember that, but he was just my inspiration for, going after something you want to do. And he showed me what it was like to work hard. So back to when I graduated, I went to pharmacy school. So I'm a pharmacist by trade.
Yep. Where did you go to college at?
Philadelphia College of Pharmacy.
Oh,
So
cool.
it's now like St. Joe's.
Yep.
They bought it out.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to school in West Philly. Loved
Born
it.
and raised. playgrounds where you spent
West
most
Village.
of your day.
Stop.
This is from
I knew it was going to be Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
yeah.
Fresh.
Fresh
I mean, this.
Well,
you
yeah,
said
I
West
mean-
Philadelphia, born and
Yeah,
raised.
it
I mean,
was.
I used to see her on the courts, on the hoops, playing the hoops. Anyway,
yeah,
keep going.
like Clark Park, West Philadelphia, right
Yeah.
down there. That's where we spend. That's where I met DJ actually in
Yeah.
pharmacy school. So we, both graduated the same year. He went to Lehigh University first and then transferred into pharmacy school. If you don't know, DJ went to Lehigh. If you don't see him with the Lehigh sweatshirt on, you don't know DJ went to Lehigh.
Yeah,
That's all my
yes.
husband wears. So then we ended up buying a house right at a pharmacy school and, stayed there for a while.
Was it in the Philadelphia area? What
in
town?
South Philadelphia.
South Philadelphia. Gotcha.
Yeah. Right by the stadiums. So it was amazing.
Yeah, no,
living there.
I think the opposite. That place is. I don't like the teams out there, but they go.
John's a hater.
I'm what you call a hater and a troll, and
Yeah.
we're gonna
Philly
shut up.
season tickets, walk to the games. It was like,
I'm just kidding.
it was amazing. Yeah.
No, that is. I mean,
Yeah.
especially being like 24, 25, 26
Yeah.
years old, having that availability in your life and the ability to do things like that's really cool. Especially
Yeah.
with somebody you met in college, you're in love, and so on and so forth, and. Just learning these traits of hard work from your parents, especially from your dad, was just an amazing time for
Yeah,
you.
he was very adamant. Like, you are going to college, you are getting a good job, you're whatever. Like, that was one thing because of everything he went through and the decisions he made. Like, at that time, it's different now. I think when we were aging us again, when we were younger, right? But that was one of the things that they focused on and instilled in me.
And when you guys graduated, you guys both jumped right into the workforce.
Yeah, we both worked for Walgreens Pharmacy at the time.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
in South Philly. And then
Like at the store level or
At
on
the
the
store
corporate
level.
level? Okay.
Yep.
went in at the store level. I was actually his pharmacy manager.
You were his boss?
Yes.
Just so you know, you're still his boss.
I am.
You're totally right.
So we both were there. I transitioned and then I went to Rite Aid as a district leader. So I left Walgreens and went there. And then so that's where most of my career has been at
Right.
Rite Aid.
Yeah, and you actually had, and I don't mean to skip around, but you
No, you're good.
actually had a very long, successful career in Rite Aid, and now
Yeah.
DJ's Walmart.
Yep.
But your career, like you were a vice president of nearly a couple hundred stores.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. And I worked my way up. That's what brought me up here actually, because I was in Philadelphia as a district leader. I was positioned open in corporate. I was brought up here. Then we relocated. and
Which
then-
is the corporate was behind Simply Turkey there?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Mhm. Yeah. And then ended up, becoming a divisional vice president back out to Central PA and then the Philadelphia market. Then left Rite Aid for a contract role. That contract ended. And at that time, I took a couple years off with my kids,
Mm.
which was the most amazing thing I've
That's
ever,
awesome.
ever done. And that was what kind of started this whole process of, okay, like, do I want to do something on my own? Like, what does that look and feel like? And that's
Right.
when we went down the path of Santucci's to kind of see if that was a viable option for us.
Well, what do you think gave you the ability? Because that's a wild story to go from the store level to managing hundreds of stores like that. What do you think gave you the ability to really be able to do something like that?
People
Yeah.
skills, IQ and EQ, right? Having the ability to make the right decisions quickly and, be confident in them, but also being able to connect with people, right?
Yeah.
If you can't do that, no matter how smart you are, how
Right.
great you are, like being able to have that connection with people is so important.
I don't want this to get cold because I'm going to eat some of this.
And John is currently trying to open the pizza.
I am.
box,
And
right?
I just had breakfast, but I'm going to eat the heck out of this thing. I did want to, you and I had some long discussions about some things that, and in this show, we talk about, the word is hustle, but it's not just about hustle. It's about doors that open up for us, opportunities. What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? And I know we talked in your mid 20s, you went through some crazy heartache
Yeah.
as a very young adult. And can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. As long as I don't cry.
And you're allowed to cry. I've cried plenty of times on the show. I only tear out of one eye, but it still
We've
cries.
had to hold him
It
back
still
a bunch
counts,
of times.
right?
It still
It still
counts. But I
counts,
mean,
yeah.
from your mom, and then if you want to kind of share,
Yeah.
because this led you down the path you're on
Yes,
today.
it did. And that's why I talked about my dad originally. Like, my mom and I were best friends. My dad and I didn't always have the healthiest and best relationship, but, I always admired what he did. It's just, he was the workhorse. Like, my mom raised us. My dad was out there, grinding and working hard. My mom got diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer in July of 2005. And, unexpected. Like, she literally told me she was having trouble breathing. I told her, go to the gym. Like, I mean, we had no idea.
Yeah.
She was working at the school as a secretary, waitress at night. Like, I literally said, like, go to the gym. It always sticks with me that I did that, but I did. I need an inhaler, Mom. You don't think about it, right? Because she had no symptoms. She wasn't on blood pressure medication. It
She was
kinda-
young.
Yeah. She was, just healthy, never really just went to the doctor for checkups. Got her mammograms. Like, I mean, she was great. So she got diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, and, still remember that moment when the doctor, they came out and there's nothing we can do. Like, where it is, it metastasized. Like, we can't do surgery. Like, there's nothing we're going to be able to do. So I was with DJ at the time. And, as things progressed into the holiday seasons, it got worse pretty rapidly. We spent Thanksgiving giving her a blood transfusion, like, just things like all started to happen super fast. And, just graduating college, I lived in Philadelphia. She still lived in Scranton. So, just started the workforce, driving back and forth and figuring all that out, and seeing your mom that way, at any age, children, mom, whatever, it's still like seeing her that way was very difficult. So DJ proposed to me in December. We kind of knew she wasn't gonna be able to be there, but at least she was able to be a part, to share a part of that. Fortunately, she passed a couple weeks later in January. So going through that, like, just got engaged, didn't want to wear my engagement ring. I was like, because it reminded me of something she couldn't share with me. But, figured out, I remember handing him the ring back at one point and being like, I don't think this is right. And my dad saying, you're making decisions based on emotions, like, go through it. So my dad at that time is when we got super close. Because I remember when my mom passed, he's like, I'm not worried about your mom passing. I know she's, going to be at peace. I'm worried about you. Right. He was really close to my sister. I have a sister who's a couple years younger. He's like, you. Like, how do I handle you? I mean, really, that was his thing, because he was like, we had that love-hate relationship. But we got so close. He was my rock throughout my wedding. Like, he did everything. He helped me plan. I mean, things I didn't even think he would put time into, like, he did.
Yeah.
So we got married, and then fortunately a couple months later in February, he gets in a car accident and dies of a brain aneurysm.
The same day.
What?
The accident.
That's not the same day, the February.
Wow.
But that day was a day, taken back to his business, that he was in a lawsuit with his partner, and he got announced that he won the lawsuit and the business was all his. He was driving home that night from the celebration dinner.
What?
And he had a brain aneurysm, which caused the car accident. And
First of all, I'm really, really sorry to hear all of that. But I want to talk for a second about your dad, because it's very, very telling to me about the man that he was, to be pulling you up after, your mom had passed, and still fighting every day to make sure that your wedding went on the way it was supposed to. I mean, that tells a lot about the character of that guy.
Yeah, he was like the silent type. I mean, even at his funeral, the craziest part was we had people coming up to me, my sister, and saying, your dad did this for us, your dad did that for us. Like, we had no idea. He literally bought tires for his neighbor's kid because they didn't have money. They're like, we'll pay you and your sister back. We're like, no, we don't want it, right? Like, but that was just the type of person he was. And some of the regrets in life is that, like, I didn't even know that. Right? Like, I didn't see all that, and I didn't always see that side of him, because he was so busy trying to protect us and be this provider and do all this for me and my sister, that I missed a lot of that about him.
But and he didn't want you to see it. He wanted you just to feel comfortable at the same time.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know what, everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And he did that. And the part that I really love was the wedding stuff. Like, him to step up and be like, you know what, this is my job now.
Yeah.
And him to know that, and I can see you telling that story, and then me looking back over the last year and a half of Santucci's and watching what you do as a small business owner and a provider for your family along with DJ, but watching what you've done and just your social media presence, which is reality, not fake.
Yep.
I see where it comes from now.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because I remember talking to you guys when I didn't know you. but I wanted to do videos for your business. The first day you opened, I was there.
I
the
know you were
morning
like the first one.
I was,
Yeah.
and I was a stranger to you. I think we had just met once
Yeah.
before that at a basketball game.
Just through
But
Bill.
Yeah, just through Bill. But I wanted to
Bill
be there.
does do some good things, doesn't he?
He did something real dumb this morning, but we'll talk about that later. Bill, you know what I'm talking about, the text messages with, he knows exactly what he did.
Every now and then, Bill does one good
Man,
thing.
gosh, I have to remind him, Bill, you're dumb. No, I'm just kidding. I love you, Bill. But just watching what you guys did to get that place ready, the hours that you put in, to me was just like, wow. Like the ability at age, because you're 26 now, 25, right?
Yeah,
we'll
totally.
see. Yeah, 29 forever.
Yeah.
But just to watch the ability of what you were doing to get that place ready, like my idea of your success was just all I wanted was success for you. Like I was there the first day. I don't get around there a lot. It's not in my area of the hood. Bill provides a lot of income for you, I know.
He's been slacking.
He has been slacking, but it's because he's trying to, whatever. He's doing his own thing. But just seeing what you've done there, going from Rite Aid, which is that how you guys met Brian? Did you know Brian from there?
Yeah, Brian is actually the one who hired me for Rite Aid in
Is that right?
Philadelphia. Yes.
Wow. Shout out to Brian
He
Dean.
hired
Brian
me,
Dean.
yes.
Yeah.
So Brian hired me in Philadelphia, like district leader, like newly graduated, only worked for Walgreens for like a little bit of time. He hired me, worked for him. He left not too long after I got hired and got a promotion into like a bigger region, but stayed connected. And he brought me up to corporate with him.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's the reason I ended up coming up here as well. So
Look at
Brian and I
that.
have been.
Which is really cool because both of you, because of hardships in your lives, have left the corporate world to create something of your own. And the ability to do that, to step away, because there's a lot of books on, you step away from 6 figures plus to go do something else is the scariest thing in the world to do.
Yeah,
Like-
we'll get back to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like that's scary.
Yeah.
And the fact that you and Brian both have done this, and I met Brian through your husband.
Yeah.
And I mean, Bill might take claims to that, but anyway, we got to stop talking about Bill. I got to stop short. He's
Yeah,
going
no
to,
more Bill
his
conversation.
head's going to get like this.
Yeah. He's already
Anyway.
had way too much airtime.
He's had way too much airtime.
So can you kind of take us through the rest of that story with your parents and what had happened there? I know we kind of left off on the accident with your dad,
Yeah.
right? So can you kind of tell us about the after effects of that and how that kind of transformed your life too?
Yeah, I mean, that was, looking back on that, I was like, you think now, like with, Suicide Awareness Month, and I think that's this month, there are like all these things that are happening now, or you're hearing like, it's so more like out there now, but like looking back at that time in my life, like I could see how people give up, right?
Yeah.
It was very difficult. DJ did a fantastic job, like navigating it. His parents were amazing. We don't see them that much. I don't always talk to them that often, but like one of the last things my mom said to me was 2 things. I'm happy you're going to be able to provide for yourself because I was, at that time, 6-figure pharmacist, right? And DJ's parents are there for you, right? Like those are the 2 things that she said to me.
Wow.
Because knowing that she was leaving me in those hands, quote unquote, like I was taken care of. So it was tough. It was tough to just even navigate going back to work and figuring things out. And I remember one day at work that stood out to me. This is why I always try to teach my kids that you never know what someone's going through. Like when you meet them, they could seem happy, they could seem whatever. I had a picture of my mass cards, my parents at work, and a pharmacist came in and they were like, oh, I'm like, then I told them what happened and they were like, I would never have known. And the next day they came, they brought flowers and donuts and they're like, I just want to say thank you because how you navigate and handle things and how you treat people, like you would never know you just went through something horrible.
Wow.
Right. So like, one of the things I try to teach my kids is like, be kind, and they're kids. They're not always, but
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real. But just one of those, because you don't know what's happened to someone, or you don't know if they had a loss in their life or they had to make a difficult decision or, whatever. So, and even in the small business world, like my team that works for me, which is fantastic, right? Like the struggles that they go through, and their family for me right now. So I try to be there to help them and support them because everyone's going through something.
Yeah. I mean, that car in front of you, you don't know. That
No.
person beside you that you don't know, like the
No.
person at the airport, or you just don't know what's going on in their lives.
No, you could look at them and think, oh, they're so lucky, they're
Mhm.
this. And
Yeah.
the social media talked about real or fake, right?
Right.
Like, what is it? You think like, oh, they have it. It's, their life's perfect. But is it? What are they
Yeah.
going through and dealing with? So,
Yep, it's always just the highlight reel, right? But
Yeah. And go ahead, buddy.
no, you're good. You're good. I was just gonna kind of talk about at that point after your dad had passed and everything. Were you still in Rite Aid full time, or were you kind of thinking about transitioning?
no, I was just finishing out of Walgreens because I was just right out of school.
Okay,
Right out of school.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. So I was still there. And then slightly after that is when I transitioned.
That's when you were
into-
with Brian and everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I
gotcha.
transitioned into that.
And how was transferring to this area for you? Did you like it at first?
I loved it. DJ did not.
Oh,
Ask
did you
him
like the
about
city?
that one day.
He loves it now,
Ask
though.
him about how we found out we were moving.
Oh.
Ask him about that. He'll tell you the story. Shout out to Nicole Dibler for that one. She's the
Oh.
one that ended up.
I love Nicole.
Telling
Yeah,
him.
she was there that
Ask him.
morning I went to when you first opened. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, he loved Philadelphia. Still loves it. We still have friends there that we are so super close to. Right. So moving to this area was a little more difficult for him, but
Right.
now he considers it home.
Yeah.
And it's the girls' home.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So we love it now.
Yeah, and it's kind of been fun to watch, but and we were talking about this stuff yesterday. Like I was like, oh, because business is going good, like you guys are doing well over there, but we also talked about how hard it is in America to have a small business.
Yeah.
The difficulties are. Go ahead.
I mean, it's so a little bit of history. So I worked full time up until we opened.
Hmm.
So I worked full time until
When did you open again?
last August.
Last August. Okay.
Yeah. So we worked full time. Took a couple weeks before, then stopped, right? Like to get everything, make sure everyone's hired, get everything. Small business is not easy. The expectations are high. I've worked and we talked about it, like high corporate roles, and you can shut off, right? Like you can stop what you're doing. Like owning a business, it doesn't stop.
Never ends.
It's on your mind constantly. And
Yep.
you're the one writing the check for that payroll, and you're the one making the orders, and you're like, it just does not stop. And I have a true appreciation for anyone who even thinks about opening a small business or starts a small business, because it's next level. Like anyone can say, I'm going to do it, but to actually do it is like pretty amazing,
Yes.
to make that happen.
Yeah.
So it's not in interest rates now. So we're doing well. We're not doing well enough. I had to go back to work full time.
Yeah.
I'm now currently working back in a corporate role full time
And running a restaurant.
and running a restaurant 50, 60 hours a week.
and you have
running
2
a
kids.
restaurant, 2 girls.
Coaching.
Yes.
I mean, you're a mom, you're a wife, you're a coach. The one thing that we kind of talked about was like before the show started, before we started filming, was the thing that is the most inspiring thing for me for this whole story, which we touched on a little bit, is you got to see your dad work really hard. It inspired you to be the person you are today, who's another just hardworking, caring person, great parent, a coach, an inspiration for so many people. You get to do this in front of your daughters now.
Yeah, it's tough. It's hard.
It is, but you know what they're seeing right now? They are seeing what it's like to be a successful, caring, just person. Like the hard work that you're putting in is going to reflect on them for the rest of their lives.
I hope, right? Because you're going through it, and like I said, that time off with them was amazing, right? But like now you can see in them like my stress. I try, my dad protected me, but this day and age is so different, right?
Yeah.
So I try to protect them, but working 40, 60 hours a week in a corporate job, and then Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays being at Santucci's, right? And then they're both in travel sports, and then trying to be there to make sure we can drop them off and pick them up, or make sure they have everything they need, or be at their games, right? At the end of the day, like to make all that happen, there's like zero time.
Yeah.
Zero. Like I literally plan my day by the minute.
Yeah.
You know, like, how do I get from point A to point B by the minute? But my girls are amazing. Like, they are my biggest supporters.
And
They
it
really
shows.
are.
It's fun to watch. Even one of them, Taylor and I were married a month ago. We had you guys bring pizza late to
Yeah.
the wedding, and your husband and one of your daughters came. Like,
Yeah.
it was the coolest thing in the world. Like
Yeah.
8:30 at night, like they're literally out delivering food, and like to see what your girls do for this, and just they're along for the ride. But the influence that this is putting on them it's huge, and it's really important. And a lot of kids don't get to see that. They don't.
No, and different, working with different people, like a restaurant business is, working with different types of people than you would be in a professional setting necessarily, right? So, I see them with my team there and, they love the girls and the girls love them, right? So it's helping them build those life skills and people skills as well that they may not get without going through that experience. But yeah, Kenzie, my older one, like she was there the first 3 weeks we opened, trying to help and work. Charlie was still a little bit too little, but yeah, I mean, I want them to be proud of me and DJ, and I want them to be proud of what we're doing.
Yeah.
And it's hard because it's taking time away from them.
Yeah.
Especially having to go back to work, right? To support the family while this continues to build and grow. But small business is hard. People look at it different. The expectations are different, right? Like our pizza doesn't come out perfect. People will let us know. But you can go to a chain restaurant and they will mess up your food and they will not do it right. And people will still go back,
Yeah.
right? Like small business is different. People have
just had
different
that-
expectations.
We just had that exact conversation with
Yeah.
Jackie.
Yes.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we just had that, like, they will throw you under the
Yep.
bus for messing up one time.
Yep.
And it's a shame.
Yeah.
Because Yelp, which I look at Yelp, I look at reviews on Yelp when I'm traveling, I do. But the ones that are really bad, I treat them like a grain of salt. Like, I understand, like, but people don't always do that. They believe everything they read.
Yeah. Especially people who haven't worked in the business before. Like,
Yeah.
if you've never
They
worked
don't-
in food
they don't get
service or
it.
something. Yeah.
I don't think you should be able to rate a business till 3 months. Like it should be
Yeah.
like
That's
what
blocked
we just
on
talked
Google
about.
We
and
did talk about
Yelp,
that.
and then 3 months in, then
Then-
rate me,
then get it,
right?
yeah.
Because when we opened, we did more sales than Santucci's has ever seen in their first grand opening week because we
Of
were
any of their stores?
yes, because we were new to the market, right? Like we were the first store outside of the Philadelphia market.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
wow.
because of that, everyone wanted to try it, but like we weren't prepared. My team was just training. We didn't whatever. So like our first couple months was super difficult. But I have the same team now. Like most of the people are still there.
Which I think is really important because restaurant, holding on to employees at a restaurant can be very, very
Yeah.
difficult.
Oh, yeah.
So we've
sure.
we've been blessed with that.
Yeah.
And it's give us a try now. It's always tell people like people who have like tried us before and we're like, oh, but whatever.
Well, that
And then
that was what
give
we
us
talked.
another chance.
Yeah, that's what we talked about this lady. She's like, these people were mad they waited an hour. When you got here, the line was around the building out the door. What was your expectation?
Yeah.
Like, and you're right. I never even thought of that. You should not be allowed to rate a restaurant in the first 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you shouldn't. And I've had this pizza numerous times and it's so good. So while we're talking, I'm just going to eat some because it's banging. Have you had this yet?
I have not. Yeah.
Did you
so
not have any at the wedding or did you leave before?
I think I was gone before
Yeah,
that
I
because
did-
we
I
had to
did.
get Emery to sleep and everything.
But
But
I had 4 pieces.
he said he had
It's
4
so good.
pieces.
I had 4 pieces at the wedding. I had a huge dinner that night. And
Yeah.
I'm on a diet.
He was on a diet. But the question I have for you is how did you start to actually get interested in Santucci specifically? Can you kind of take us through that whole process?
So like I said, we lived in Philly brand, Philly pizza was in our neighborhood on Broad Street. Growing up in Scranton, I only grew up on square pizza, right? So the difference about Santucci is it's square, right? So Scranton is known, Arcaro and Janelle's, Ravello's, Old Forge pizza capital of the world, right? So growing up, all I ate was square pizza. So when we went to Philly, like I gravitated more towards this because it was like what I was used to. Different style of sauce, different style of pizza, but still the square pizza,
good.
not the round traditional pizza. So we just always ate it like as much as we could. Friday nights when we got it, like that's our go-to place. We have a shore house in Margate. They have a place in Ventnor. So even when we were down there during the summers, we'd still get the pizza. So when we moved up here, we really missed it. Get it as much as we can when we went home, like or went to Philly or went to Margate. Then they started franchising. And we toyed around with the idea around COVID times. Like that's when they started franchising. Like, should we not? And again, big concern. You're going from a big job, big experience to opening something like this. How could we make it work? Like financially, time management, like can that happen?
I got to imagine there's so many complications when you actually break down the
Oh,
logistics
it
of money
was.
and all that.
Yeah. But since it was going through COVID, we're like, time out. Like, obviously not the right time or place to do it. But then, like I said, when I took that time off with my girls, I was like, you know what? Like, I really want to build something that I can own and grow and then have that time back with my kids. And we were like, let's do it, right? Something that we could both do. I toyed around with like opening boutiques or opening this, but this was something that DJ and I were both like, okay, we could agree on.
Okay.
Food. You know, like we loved it.
Both like pizza.
Yeah, we loved it. We thought that it would definitely make a killing in this market because it was just different, right? But we're struggling in that. You know, it's different. And getting the name out there and marketing and getting the brand out there didn't go as fast as we'd like, as to why I transitioned back to, you know, working in corporate, now less time with my family. But
Sure.
you know, the sacrifices you make doing this, you take chances.
Yeah.
You
You
know,
take risk and stuff. Yeah.
And, you know, so it's been a year. But
So what has been like some of the chief like challenges that you guys have really faced as you were starting up? Like, what was some of the stuff you didn't really expect that you were like, oh my goodness, like that caught up on us?
I think just the different style of the pizza.
Okay.
Well, if we're talking about the food, I think it's that, right?
Sure.
So people are expecting the traditional cheese on top, sauce on bottom. Ours is
Okay.
this sauce on top, cheese on bottom. What I liked about it was that it wasn't greasy. That was my draw
not
to it in
greasy at all.
Philadelphia. Like you can eat it and feel like, oh, I'm eating healthy. Not healthy, but like I'm not.
Yeah, like
sop-
that is not greasy at all.
No, like I'm not sopping the
You're not
grease
getting
off
the
the
soup
cheese.
in the middle of the pizza.
Yeah. And it was just like the different style. I think the number one thing is just, you know, marketing and the brand, right? So we are not like you open a Santucci's in Philadelphia and everyone knows and loves it, right? It's just, oh, one's closer to me now. That's fantastic. Opening up out here, it's not. Like we are a brand new business in Central PA, right? So it's not that same type of feel as if you open in the Philadelphia
Right.
market. So I think the marketing and the awareness and the brand awareness of it was probably something that I, you know, was harder than I thought.
Right.
That was
What about costs involved? Like even with the remodel, like was that?
yeah. I mean, there's so many mistakes I made. So if you're opening a small business, like call me, we'll chat through it. So many mistakes I made. And I thought I was smart, right? Like I thought I've done this before. I ran, 200 pharmacies. I got this, right?
By the way, guys, if you're enjoying this episode of the Good Hustle podcast, please go ahead, leave a like, subscribe on the YouTube, and also we are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts now. So if you want to listen without the video part, you can do that.
Yep. And if you're looking for any real estate needs, whether you're buying, selling, or investing, please contact Zach or myself. Our numbers are below. Back to the podcast.
But really, when it comes down to it, yeah, like remodel costs and, just insurances and all the different types you need for a restaurant business and licenses and then interest rates. I'm not even going to tell you what my interest rate's in
For
because
your small business loan.
yes, because you'll probably puke. But
Yeah, I don't want to. I just had that. I want to keep it down.
yeah.
It's delicious.
I will say
I don't
the
wanna
pizza
puke.
is
Yeah.
excellent, by the way. The pizza's amazing.
So yeah, so that's another thing with small businesses is like even building it, but like the overhead for a restaurant
It's
is
insane.
crazy.
I mean, just
the equipment.
ovens, equipment,
Ah,
tables, flooring,
yeah.
paint, those front windows on the business. Like
Yeah.
that building. What year? Do you remember what year that building was
Like
built?
1982.
Yeah, 1982.
Yeah.
So, and that's a Wendy's I grew up going to. And I
Yeah.
was born in 80. That's a Wendy's I grew
Yeah.
up with as a child.
Yeah.
Like I remember that. I remember they had a buffet in there, but that's how old that place is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like you aren't Wendy's or Taco Bell or Sheetz who can just flip a business.
No.
Because Sheetz will just tear down one, build one right next to it,
And it looks the
no,
same.
and it's no skin off their back. It's
yeah.
really not. But for you to go in and do this, like the amount of fees and costs that go with this is stuff that for some people would be mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And so that's why obviously you're doing good with sales, but you had to get back in it. And
Yeah.
You have to do what you have to do to survive.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough, but like that's the things like, you know, you don't consider, right? Like when you're doing it, you're building it out. You think about it and you put it on paper, but like, you know, what happens if, right? So what happens if we're not meeting X amount of sales? Like what do we do? Right. And then you're already in it. You know, and then you go into new businesses, exciting, and the venture is going to be great and everything's going to be wonderful, but there's so many roadblocks and so many ups and downs. And that like if it doesn't, like how do you pivot and what do you do?
Yeah.
Can we talk about some of the cool moments too? Like what are some of your favorite moments so far? Of like, wow, I can't believe this happened.
Oh, I mean,
Oh my gosh.
oh, that's our cheesesteak.
But
Yeah.
everybody talks about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it like in about 10 seconds. It looks awesome.
It's so good.
I think the cool moment is just, it's almost every time I'm there because it's just knowing it's yours and all the work you put into it. Like I walk in there sometimes and I'll leave like my corporate job and I'll walk in there and I'll be like, I'm so happy here. Like my goal is to make this place so successful that that's where I can be, right? Because the people are great. I love talking to the customers. Love getting to know them. Like we have some customers that are in there like every week. Like they're our loyals. They're already like, you know, whatever. They're like, what can we do for you to help you get business? Like they're asking me what they can do for me. Like when you hear that, you're like, you made an impact on someone. Like whether it's a relationship you built with them or they truly love your food that much, whatever it may be. But like those moments like are my favorite.
Yeah, it's that whole, what you talked about in the beginning, being able to build a relationship, being a people person. I don't care if your small business is real estate. I don't care if it's you opened up a mom and pop candle store, Santucci's, whatever it is. The ability to be able to grow those relationships over time is what's going to sustain you. Like even I went to Costco the other day. I have to get a hearing aid. So I went to Costco and it was fine. I'm going to save some money by going to Costco. I go into this room, have the hearing test done, nothing against Costco, but I didn't feel that warm and fuzzy of being treated like, I felt like a client, not a customer, or like I felt like it didn't feel like it was like.
It wasn't personal.
No, not at all. Yeah. So then I put a post on Facebook and I know 2 locally owned hearing aid places that are local to me in Carlisle area. I'm going there. Yeah. I'm probably going to spend an extra $500-$600, but I'm getting I'll get an in-home visit.
Oh, wow. Really?
From the owner to fit me for a hearing aid.
Yeah. See, that's
for
amazing.
An extra $500.
Yeah. And they'll probably take care of you if something goes wrong.
100%.
Where if you went somewhere else, they'd be like, sorry, or call this number.
So,
right?
So like, yeah. And it's like, to me, it's like, what do you want to pay for? Like, I get going to the big box stores to get your appliances and you have your 0% APR on your credit card, blah, blah, blah. But for me, I'm going to go to Muma's every time. Friends with the family, great service. Like my dryer broke because of an electrical problem that we had. Our electric went out and actually shorted our dryer. So it broke. What does Muma's do? My buddy, he brings over a used dryer, puts it in the house and says, let me see if I can get yours fixed. Can't get it fixed. Says, you keep that one when you're ready to buy a new one, buy a new one. Tell me the big box store is ever going to do anything like that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So for me, this small business and like you help me, I help you, that's what this is about. And that's what America's about. This is it's capitalism. It is. But we want to help each other out. Let's help our community out. And when we started this podcast, it was about real estate. All of a sudden, wait, there's some really great local stories here that we can discuss and help people out with. That's what we want to do.
Yeah.
And it's not just about Santucci's, it's about you as a person and selling you because people want to buy from you, not because of just the name brand, but it's because they want to help out people like you and your family. And I think that's the most important thing.
And I think as with small businesses, like how do we make it right? Right. I think a lot of things with small businesses is that, you know, something goes wrong. You know, one thing I try to teach my team is it's okay. Like if we mess up, we're going to mess up. I mean, everyone messes up. Yes. You don't want to, but it happens, right? But how do you make it right when that happens? So then, you know, they know we're going to take care of them. Like that's what it's all about. Not messing up or not, but how are you handling when you do mess up?
Yep.
or it's not perfect, or you didn't like the cheese on your cheesesteak or whatever it may be. It's okay. Let's do that. And again, we're not perfect, but that's one thing I'm trying to instill in them. That's so important.
For sure. Yeah,
to be able to do that.
I guess one big question I like to ask a lot of the people we have on here, because everyone is very different industries, but also very similar. Everyone's got a drive about them, right? And I don't think it's always something you can just teach to anybody, right? There's a certain thing behind it, and I think for most people it's a why. So I guess my big question to you is why do you work so hard? Why do you try so hard to be the best person that Stacey can be? What's behind that?
My kids.
Yeah.
I want to be able to give to them what my dad was able to give to me and my sister. I want to be able to hand this to them, whether they want to run it or whether they want to sell it and pay for their college or whatever they want to do. But I want to leave them something. And I know it's hard because time, and like DJ and I argue about this all the time. He's like, you're so stressed. You're miserable. You're yelling all the time. Yes, I do. Right. I do.
DJ sounds like an awesome guy.
I mean, I do. And you try to balance everything, but so you try to come back to reality and say, okay, like, how do I not do that? Cause I don't want the girls to see me that way. But at the same time, I'm trying to do it for them.
Right. It's a delicate balance.
And I'm so close to my kids. I probably say too much than I should. Right. Like I probably tell them too much, but that's just my relationship with them. But like, yeah, how do I balance that where I'm there for them, but I'm putting so much time in now so that like they can have that, Yeah. And when I was younger, my drive was just always wanting to be the best, right? I don't think there was one thing, but becoming a mom, like switch flips. Like you're just like everything is for them. Yeah. I want them to have the best opportunities. They want basketball training. I want to be able to give it to them. One thing I promised myself when I did this was that I would not take anything from them. Right. Yeah. So if it had to be my time cut back for me or whatever, like I would not. They want to do trainings. They want to do camps. They want to do 2 leagues, whatever they want. I won't take that from them because I don't have the time. Yeah, I wasn't going to let time beat me.
No.
So.
And that's what this is, especially being a parent. It's about like give and take. And sometimes you have to take away from yourself to give to your kids.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
And some people don't have that ability. And but like I said, 20 minutes ago, your daughters, it's Mackenzie and Charlie, right?
Kenzie and Charlie.
Kenzie and Charlie.
Just Kenzie.
Just Kenzie. Sorry. No. Sorry. I love the name Charlie and Kenzie. But anyway, so Kenzie and Charlie, like, man, what they're consuming like from you and just what they're watching, yeah, they're going to see some stress and things like that. But ultimately, they're going to know like when they're 26, when they're 44, when they're 38, they're going to be like, wow, I can't believe what our parents did for us and what our parents gave us. I grew up relatively poor, but my parents tried really hard, tried to give us anything we could get. They did. And I still see that, and I'll always take something from that because it's important. I mean, you see it from your parents.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that I was actually just thinking in my head right now, like, wow, like what kind of person do I want Emery to be someday? Because I have a 1-year-old right now.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, I guess I have to be that person today in order for him to see that and to be able to grasp onto it. And I'm learning so much from your story right now about how you saw that from your dad and how your kids are seeing that from you. And
so you're saying your kids learn from you, right?
Of course, yeah.
Did Emery learn to eat cat food from you?
No, all right. I
didn't
eat cat food. He just ate it on his own, all right? There was a funny Instagram post I had the other
day. Definitely.
I turned
this is like 3 days ago.
Yeah, I'll tell the story for 30 seconds because it's funny, but basically I heard him in the kitchen and he wasn't making any noise and he was just kind of,
which is always a scary thing.
I know when you don't hear your kids making noise.
A toddler making no noise and just in the kitchen by himself. And I'm like, I turned the corner and sure enough, he said the goofiest look on his face. With his cheeks all stuffed up with cat food, and he looks so guilty. And then he goes, after he's done swallowing it. So yeah, he loves cat food.
I love Eric's face right now.
I mean, what flavor was it? You got to share it.
It was like that Purina, like dry food, like
Wasn't even
$5, like the cheap stuff.
I'm glad he ate the dry food, not the wet food.
Oh, yeah, the wet
stuff
food is
that's
nasty.
disgusting.
Oh, that's what I was thinking he was eating.
No.
No.
It was just it was
That's
just a
gross.
dry kibble stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, hopefully
yikes.
he's not learning that from you.
Yeah, I do not think I've ever eaten cat food in front of him. No, I'm just kidding.
That's great.
Yeah, but
Well-
you're right. I mean, that's the age. I mean, it starts early,
Yeah.
right? It starts early, and you make decisions. But
Well, one last question. I mean, obviously everybody should eat at Santucci's. Give it a try. I mean, tell your friends about it.
Yeah, the pizza and cheesesteak that we're having right now
Phenomenal.
is super good. Super
Phenomenal. But that's the thing is like we want businesses to grow. Like the first time I ever went to John's on Fire, you know who was there?
who?
Your husband buying Kenzie shoes.
Oh God, they need to stop buying shoes. Well, actually, they haven't bought shoes in a little bit, but
John's
you know.
on Fire right there, baby.
Oh, and yeah, John's on Fire. Original John made my shirt today.
Yeah.
So you have to. He's customizing
He's
T-shirts as well.
Tons of T-shirts. I actually just got my O Rose T-shirt, my Olivia Jones T-shirt from him. But once again, we're helping other local businesses out, and it's not because we just feel like we owe it. We want other people to succeed, and I see that in you, and that's important because I want to see people succeed. But last question would be like, any simple advice you could give to a young person today that has dreams of anything like this, small business or just becoming successful? Anything you want to say out there that could be very helpful?
I say do it, right? It's not easy. And I probably ask me tomorrow and I may say, don't do it, right? But I mean, I'd say do it because you don't want to look back and say, I wish I tried.
Yeah.
Right. Use your resources, use your family, use your friends. That's my best advice, right? I had great friends. My landlord's one of my best friends. He helped me through this a lot. Brian has been amazing, helping me through it, going through it himself. Tracy, my friend Tracy owns Rev Aesthetics. Amazing. Her business is so successful right now. And, she worked from the ground up. So they were kind of inspirations for me as well because they had all started it before I did. Of course, I chose pizza. But food.
I love pizza.
But
we're happy you did because we got pizza today.
Yeah, I say just do it, right? Because you can always people make mistakes, but fail forward.
We've
Right?
said that a lot.
Amen.
Yeah. And if something happens or we end up not making it because of interest rates and sales and, I'm still here, I'm still healthy, I still have my girls. That's what I try to tell myself, right? So if we can't get through this and things just continue down the path of where we're at, like not just like Santucci's, but things happen. But like, if I can't, I'm still healthy, still have my girls, still tried, still gave it 120%
Yeah.
to do it. So
And I think that's the biggest thing is like, if you're going to do it, give it your all.
yeah.
And if that door opens up, jump through it.
Mhm.
Don't stand on the other side so long like I used to do.
Yeah.
I used to stand there so afraid of the other side of that door and, crucial conversations, whatever it is, when that door opens up, go through it and it's okay to fail.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
We do not want that to happen, but it's okay to fail, but Santucci's is going to survive and we're going to help.
Yeah. No, thank
And
you.
the cheesesteak is super good. Just
my
one last
favorite.
time.
I forget.
It's so
The
good.
chicken cheesesteak is really good too.
Actually, my buddy Jeff said that was the best.
Yeah, I eat the chicken cheesesteak frequently.
Awesome.
Yeah, and our Lucio's rolls from Philadelphia, so the rolls are
They
super
come every day?
fresh. They come a couple times a week.
Okay.
We just started par baked ones, which are amazing. So we're
Ooh.
finished baking them there.
Oh, even better.
Yes. So the rolls are holding really nicely
Well, that's
now.
what. Well, we're gonna have Bagel Boutique on here. They actually get
Yeah.
their dough from New York. They bake it in the store, so the dough's literally brought in daily from New York.
Yeah.
They're selling. Well, we'll talk to them.
And she gave me a Fruity Pebbles bagel the other day. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I know the girls
Yep.
love it. They
It's so
do.
good.
Yeah. Jackie also was someone who gave me advice going through all this as well.
Which she's built a lot of big businesses.
Yeah.
A lot of big restaurants in the area.
Yeah. So her and I connect on the whole reviews piece.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
Well, that's when you were talking about
Yeah.
it. That's who we were talking about. Like,
Yeah.
dude, are you kidding me?
Yeah, we're
Yes.
gonna have her on soon too.
Yeah, we're gonna have her on soon.
It's hard. And listen, I always say this, not everyone's gonna like it.
Yeah.
Everyone's not gonna like the pizza.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't like certain pizzas, right? I don't like certain cheesesteaks or
Sure.
the rolls are too cheesesteak isn't chopped enough or whatever it may be.
100%.
But unless someone's doing something really bad to you, or unless like you get something really wrong,
Yeah.
like you don't need to bash a small business
No.
because they're not going to recover the way a large business
Domino's
is.
will or
And I
something.
say this to my kids all the time. It drives me crazy. Everyone loves Chick-fil-A. Everyone,
Mhm.
right? Or places. But like we go in and we get shorted on fries or shorted
Yeah.
on nuggets. But guess what? My kids will go right back.
Mhm.
They don't care, you know? So it's like,
Could you imagine if you gave one person a pizza with a piece missing?
oh,
Not just short and one nugget. Like, oh, the corner's gone.
I
Like,
know, but no, and that's how it is, and it's but learning to adapt to that and not taking it personal and figuring out okay, like it's okay. That took me a long time. That was probably one of the. I think you asked me, but that was probably one of the hardest things for me to navigate is not to take. I used to sit there and read
Like
every
steam
review
over
and
it.
like
can't.
cry,
Oh yeah.
and I'd be like, oh my gosh, like. And a lot of our poor reviews came from the beginning. That's where my 3 months, like, can't review for 3 months. Like now we get fantastic reviews, and every now and then, I mean, there's great feedback in them too. You can learn from them.
Yeah.
Like the way you package up your to-go orders with fries is difficult, right? Because they can get soggy if they're not steamed. So we started to keep our containers open more so the fries are steamed. So we got some of that
makes sense.
feedback, right?
Yeah.
Or like the hoagies, like roll them up, don't cut them because people like the traditional hoagie comes in one, don't chop it and separate it because then it doesn't give that hoagie feel.
Sure.
Like if you put it in a box. So we do
Oh.
take customers'
Yeah.
feedback and say, what can we do to make it better?
Yeah.
Right. So reviews are good, but at the same time, some of them like we're just like
Right.
it
They're
must
just
be
daggers. Yeah.
heart-wrenching.
So last thing, when you're doing reviews of local businesses, be kind, especially if they're new to being open. It's very important for them to learn from them.
Yeah.
And if something you just don't like the flavor because it's not your flavor, that's okay. You
Yeah.
don't have to bash them because we're all struggling out here.
Yeah.
It's a tough economy. It's been a tough economy for 5 years here in America.
Yep.
And we want our small businesses to survive. We know we love our Walmarts, our Sam's Club, our Chick-fil-A's, things like that. But, let's try to help promote local, and I love Small Business Saturday. I love that kind of stuff. And
Oh yeah.
it's really important. And as realtors, we're small business. And
Yeah.
we work for ourselves. We're 1099. We're paying ourselves. So, if we do something wrong, let us know. We'd love to fix it. And I think that's more important than bashing reviews. So anyway, Santucci's, go check them out. It's square, but it's delicious. Go eat it.
Oh yeah. Thank you so much for coming on. It was a good
No,
one.
thank you for having me and
Yep.
sharing my story and
Yeah.
the business. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.